Hickory and Freedom, their game will start at 7 p.m. tonight, and South Caldwell and Patton, their game will start at 6:30 tonight.
Starting early, so they're expecting maybe some later rain up there.
That's what I'm looking at. And then our last game, Highland Tech and Thomas Jefferson, will be Saturday at 6:30. And other games from around our area are at Central, Bessemer City, Cherylville, and Community School of Davidson all have the week off.
And as I look up at the schedule on the wall, someone's got Bessemer City and Community School of Davidson playing today. So that maybe they're getting a jump start on next week.
Okay.
All right, well, that is our area schedule. A lot of changes, a lot of movement. The KTCBroadcasting.com, we've got 4 of our 5 games tonight have been postponed to later dates. The only KTCBroadcasting.com game that I can see that will be played tonight is the Burns Bulldogs will travel over to East Rutherford to take on the Cavaliers. Calvin Hastings and Dan Greer will have all that action, and they will also be on WCSL 1590 AM and WHS 1390 AM.
And on 1050, it'll be Bunker Hill at West Lincoln with David Keever and Rick Mitchell.
Awesome.
We'll be doing that game tonight.
All right, so a lot of changes in the area. Let's go ahead and give you the phone numbers. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Give us a call. If you're in Cleveland County, 704-482-1390, 704-435-3297. And in Lincoln County, 704-735-8071. So give us a call. We'd love to hear your thoughts on your upcoming game, whether it's tonight, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, or Monday. So we've got games. Hey, for a football-loving fan, this is Mecca. You can watch a game tonight, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and Monday night. So that's 4 games you can see or go to on a weekend when normally you would only have the opportunity to see one.
Exactly, and for the announcers that are doing these games, and I'm going to throw in there Rick Mitchell and David Keever, they're going to get to do 3. And what a night they're going to have.
So they're going to do a game tonight, tomorrow,
Bunker
and
Hill,
Monday.
And then they've got one tomorrow at 1, and then they've got one late at 7.
All right, what a great weekend for those guys. They get to cover 3 games. I would assume that's 3 checks, and so it's cha-ching, guys, cha-ching.
Yeah.
But let's talk about last week's surprises before we get into the conversations and whatnot about the games tonight. Newton Conover and West Caldwell. Newton Conover scored 60 points. Honestly, that did not surprise me. Newton Conover's played well. They played Freedom, a tough half. But giving up 50 points to West Caldwell, you have to wonder, is this team been looking like a smoke and mirrors team? They look better than they truly are. Did this game expose them, or was that just an anomaly?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of times that I've looked at this and I've wondered myself, because when I think of Newton Conover and I think of them playing Freedom, and that was a 13-13 tie there, and I was like, these are 2 powerhouse squads, played each other, and they're just going to end up with this tie, and that's how they walked away. But the very next week when Freedom played Burns played Freedom very tough, for the whole first half.
Right.
And then Freedom come back to win it at the end. But then when I look at Newton Conover and I'm saying, well, is West Caldwell that good to put up 50? You kind of wonder. I'm just honest with you. I do not know how good Newton Conover is right now. It's going to be impressive to see them play Maiden tomorrow night in a big game between those two, because those are county rivals. But very interesting.
Well, it really shocked me, the points they allowed, and you're talking about the Maiden Newton Conover game. That's going to be the game that really tells us, is Newton Conover really on the rise, or have they just been fortunate scheduling-wise? Well, the only other game that really shocked me, and let me just preface this with, last week was probably the most boring week in high school football in this area for all year, because every single game other than these 2 games we're talking about was a 15-point spread or more. I mean, nobody played a good game. It was just blowouts and easy wins for the winners and, bad losses for the losers. But this other game, and this one I just found out last night, this one came in with some extraordinary circumstances. Drawn defeats Chase. Now, this is a Chase team that played Burns tough earlier this year, losing late in the game. This is a Chase team that was leading Shelby 10-0.
Yes.
And this is a Chase team that has now lost to Drawn, which is considered probably the worst program in the area, other than maybe a Highland Tech. But a very down, weak Drawn football team. I would look at that and say, what? But what we did find out last night is that the night before the game, a Chase cheerleader was killed in a car wreck. And honest to God, A, I can't believe they played it, but B, you got to believe that those kids did not have their heart in that game.
Very tough, and I've heard the same thing. Does it take away from the game? Yes. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, during that whole day there on that Friday, every kid that comes, every kid's got emotions. Every kid at that age does not understand death to me, really, until it's one of their own.
Right.
And then when you are that young and, a car accident takes your life, and it affects every kid there, whether you know the kid or not.
Right.
That is part of your school.
Well, this being a cheerleader, Chase is a small school. They're a 2A school and probably a small 2A. But the thing is that this was a cheerleader, so all the football players had to have at least known of this girl. And just what a sad, terrible event to occur. And I understand that, everything's in place. The game needs to go on probably, but I felt like, if Drawn would have went along for it, Saturday or Monday would have been fine. To play that game. But it had to be very difficult for those kids and the entire staff of Chase High School to having to deal with that young girl's death and try to go out there and support and cheer for a team. Just very tough situation. Well, we talked about the postponements, good decisions or not. A lot of times the ADs, they're looking at 3 o'clock. They have to make the decision before the other team has to get on the bus to start down. So that's why they make their decisions at 2 and 3 o'clock, some days at the latest 3 o'clock. And generally, some of these were made by noon today.
Yeah, and a lot of the games, I mean, that's just like we said, when some of these games were postponed, it was pretty hard rain that come through there for, I would say, up at West Lincoln, probably for maybe 45 minutes. It rained pretty good and pretty hard.
Right.
So.
Well, the field's wet, but those that did choose to continue on and play tonight, it looks like they're going to be okay. It's going to be a 70-degree, low 70s, upper 60s tonight game time. And the field's going to be a little soggy, but still be a very playable field because most of these fields drain very well. So the ones that did choose to postpone, I think they made a good decision based on their knowledge and information they had at the time. And those that ended up deciding to play, Burns at East Rutherford, Kings Mountain Drawn, those guys, I think, made a good decision because, geez, now I got something to do tonight. If those guys had canceled, I mean, I'm watching reruns of Roseanne or something tonight and, being bummed out. All right, well, let's take a quick break here on the KTCBroadcasting.com Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. We'll be right back.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. Any cookout starts at the Orris Supermarket and Broad River Hams in Shelby. This week you'll find big juicy T-bone steaks, $5.99 a pound. And the Orris Supermarket at Broad River Hams has Henderson apples, including Gala, Rome, Wine Sap, and Honeycrisp, plus Henderson apple cider too, and hundreds of pumpkins for your fall decorating. And Orris Supermarket at Broad River Hams takes its time to welcome former Harris Teeter and Lowe's food customers. The Orris Supermarket at Broad River Hams, 1026 East Marion Street in Shelby, your local neighborhood market.
It's big-time revelry at the Renaissance Festival. Weekends now through November 23rd. Great family fun, adventure, and wackiness.
That festival is so awesome.
Huzzah!
Jousting night. Men in tights.
Hi.
The Renaissance Festival is back.
We love the Renaissance Festival.
The Carolina Renaissance Festival is a medieval amusement park.
Shopping.
10 stages of music, comedy, daredevil antics. Weekends now through November 23rd. Discount tickets at Harris Teeter stores or print yours online at renfestinfo.com. Time traveling fun, presented by Pepsi.
I'm the Reverend Mother Redemptor.
I'm Sister Philomena Claire.
And you will love the Renaissance Festival.
I do.
Only at the Y, membership means more. There's a unique combination at the Cleveland County Family YMCA. It's a place where generations gather together. Seniors socialize alongside toddlers splashing and learning new skills. The Y offers everything from water activities and fitness equipment to healthy living classes for older adults. At the Y, your membership means more. Visit your local Cleveland County Family YMCA today.
Where can you get the highest quality in electrical service at a price that you can afford? From Dellinger Electric of Cherryville. Gary Dellinger invites you to give them a call for a quote on your commercial or residential electrical needs. Call 704-435-0705. No matter the job, Dellinger Electric of Cherryville can handle it. They feature weekend and holiday service. So before you pay an extraordinary price for an ordinary electrical job, call on Dellinger Electric of Cherryville, 704-435-0705. Since 1994. That's right, since 1994, Industrial Maintenance and Automation has been serving our area with the finest in electrical and maintenance service to our area businesses. And now they can serve you too, with heating, air conditioning, and electrical services for the residential community. They service all makes and models, commercial and now residential. And financing is available with up to $500 in rebates. Find out more. Contact Industrial Maintenance and Automation, offices on Highway 180 south of Shelby. Visit the website at imacontractors.com or call 704-481-1144. Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
Off the ball, we going on one. My skill position so proficient, break for long runs. Come out running that option. That mean I got the option to keep that or pitch that.
Hey, and we're back again. Boy, that just kind of jumped on me real quick there again. I'm a little out of sync today.
Oh, we're all right.
Well, the whole weather thing and games canceled got me discombobulated. And I'm struggling tonight because I'm just not in my cycle of, football Friday night, 4-11 games, 7 on KTC broadcasting, get in the rhythm, get in the mood, and then now we've got a couple games, thank goodness. But before we get into any more nonsense, I want to mention the Parkway House Family Restaurant. They're located right here in Cherryville, and they have a to-go menu, which is out of this world. If you can see me on your computer right now, their menu, I'm going to have to do a math count on this thing. It's got to be at least 75 to 100 things on it.
Oh, yes.
That you can get hot dogs, hamburgers, steak, fish, meats and veggies, subs, sandwich board, burgers and dogs,
ribs.
Pizza, wings, ribs, anything you want. Now, I know you're not going to a game tonight. Most of you won't go to a game tonight because there's only 2 or 3 in the area being played. But go grab you some food from the Parkway House Restaurant. They are the sponsor of our pregame meal here at ktcbroadcasting.com. Terry, I'm having the hot dog basket again, which I love. And you're having what this weekend?
I got the steak over rice.
Jeebies.
Huh?
Old country cooking.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's the Parkway House Family Restaurant right here in Cherryville. You can call in your order at 704-769-8055. They're open 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, dinner, to-go menu. They'll be open tomorrow morning, Saturday, and Sunday at 7 a.m. So stop by and tell them thanks for sponsoring us and thanks for giving us free food, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah, and if you don't forget, Mr. Roberts in here, he got him one of them samplers. Now, them samplers.
Now, you had the sampler last week.
I did. Fantastic.
Steve?
Is it
sampler
good?
platter, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. What's the rule? Thumbs up. We got a thumbs up on the hot dog. The hot dog is just an excellent hot dog. I'm a big connoisseur of hot dogs. We've got a thumbs up on the sampler platter, which you liked it last week, and this week you're doing something different. Went off the reservation.
I went back to what I had 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you had this a couple weeks ago. Okay.
It was good.
But that's the Parkway House Restaurant, and we want to thank those folks. And just another programming note, since all of our games are canceled on the ktcbroadcasting.com except for Burns at East Rutherford and what other one tonight?
Bunker Hill at West Lincoln.
Bunker Hill at West Lincoln.
Going to be aired, too.
So we're going to have 2 games going tonight, but also the Ronaldo Auto Mall post-game show has made the executive decision not to have a show tonight due to the lack of stuff to talk about. With only a few games in the area being played, 3 games, best we can tell, really not a whole lot for Dennis Davis, Tom Centofanti, or Terry Ronhart to do. Generally, they'll have the scores, recaps, interviews, phone calls, and expert analysis. Tonight, they're going to be sitting at home watching the Burns East Rutherford game or the Bunker Hill West Lincoln game on ktcbroadcasting.com, which as will I.
That's it, man. And I'm going to tell you, those should be 2 great games in our area. Bunker Hill comes in there averaging, giving up 54 points a game, but they've got, Steve's average. What you got, Steve?
No. After the games, we will be here to wrap up.
Oh, yes.
The games that we have, so we may be here to about 10 or so, 10:30.
Okay.
And wrap up a few games.
Very good. So it'll be a abbreviated post-game show.
Or something like that.
Okay. Usual suspects, Dennis Davis, Tom Centofanti will not be around. Best I can tell, they'll be in parts unknown, from what I understand. Well, let's Terry, let's get into what games. First of all, let's get into what I would call there were 2 games of the week this week: East Lincoln, and Burns and East Rutherford. And the Burns East Rutherford, you've got a team 3-2, and you've got a team 2-3 coming in, but I still feel like that's going to be a battle for 3rd place, maybe in the Southwestern South Mountain Athletic Conference. Kings Mountain's going to have a lot to say with 3rd place, but I really feel like Burns and East Rutherford, they're still trying to find their way. Burns with 2 wins, trying to get to 4, would be better with 5 wins.
Oh, yes.
But if they can get to 4, they've got a shot at the playoffs. East Rutherford, top team in Rutherford County, no doubt about that. Not sure what that's worth, but they are also 3-2, and they've showed some excitement when they played Kings Mountain close.
Burns is a team that has won the last 5 in this series. East Rutherford come in, the last time they won was in 2008, 36-27. They defeated Burns, but this game is very huge for East Rutherford. They come in 1-1. Burns already has 2 wins in the conference, so they're 2-1 in the conference. If they would pick up another one, that's really putting them up there towards the top, because once you get to the end, they do look at your overall record, but they also look at how you did in your conference. And if you're one of the top teams in your conference, then your 4 wins might get over a team that had 5 that's down below you.
True
you know.
Yep.
And a lot of people need to look at that. But for East Rutherford, huge game tonight, playing at home. You know, they're 3-2. They could go to 4-2 and 2-1 in this conference if they pull off a victory. This should be a very, to me, defensive-wise game, and that's why I'm thinking that's what it's going to come down to. Burns' defense, can East Rutherford have enough on offense to defeat them?
Well, we talked with Alan Strickland a few weeks ago. If Alan's listening, I sure would wish Alan would call and give us a rundown on East Rutherford, how they've done since. Last time we spoke to him the night before they played Kings Mountain.
Yes.
He was right. East Rutherford had 3 kids out there. Camp, Ruff, and Garrison all ran the ball very well. They had the win, but Kings Mountain pulled it out in the end. But I see this game exactly the way you see it. Defense against defense. Good running game for East Rutherford against average running game for Burns. Burns does have probably a little bit of the edge passing the ball if they can block.
Oh, yes.
For the quarterback, Barbie. Barbie had a good week last week. He ran for like 90 yards and threw for 120 or 30, something like that, but they were playing a lesser opponent. But as the season's gone along, that porous offensive line that Burns had, poor old Barbie was getting creamed every other snap. Now they've had 5, 6, 7 weeks to work through it, to work on blocking, to figure out their assignments. Hopefully Burns has figured this out to where they can protect him enough to get a pass off. And the emergence of A.J. Camp, the running back at Burns, this is a kid that they said showed out in practice, but in the games he just never really seemed to have much. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, this kid busted loose against Chase, I believe it was. He shined. And now this kid is the starting running back. They've got another kid, Tate, who's a bruiser-type running back. Barbie does the read option a lot and runs the ball well. So I think it's going to be a very competitive game, and Burns has a chance to pull one out tonight.
I think, I believe with you, but I also think that once you go on the road, and I know Burns made the trip over to Kings Mountain and come out on the lower end of it. They make another trip tonight. You've got to pick up a win or 2 on the road. And I think this could be a night that they could do that.
Well, Burns still has, I want to say, is it drawn on the schedule?
Yeah, they do.
So there's going to be their third win. So they're going to have to steal a game from either East Rutherford or RS Central to have a shot at the playoffs. RS Central's athletic. They've struggled with Shelby, although they played them tough for a while. They got crushed by Crest. East Rutherford, we'll see how they do against Shelby and Crest as the year goes along. But East played Kings Mountain tough, and I feel like that's a pretty fair barometer that East is a competitive football team and might still be ahead of the curve between them and Burns. I've got this down as the Burns defense versus East Rutherford running game. Flip a coin to pick a winner.
Oh, yes.
Would you agree?
I'm with you.
All right, very good. Well, that's the Burns-East Rutherford wrap-up. And let's move on to the next game on the schedule. They'll be playing, Monday night, Shelby at East Burke. This is another KTCBroadcasting.com that's been moved. Monday at 7 o'clock, Shelby travels over to East Burke. Shelby has struggled with their offense some this year. They've struggled at times with defense, but we've seen this team year in and year out continue to improve as the year goes along. They're breaking in an entirely new offensive line. What do you know about Shelby and East Burke?
Well, the big thing about this game is if you go with East Burke, they've had 25 turnovers in 5 games. 17 turnovers, 8 interceptions. And, Sam, you know as well as I do, if you're turning the ball over 5, that's an average of 5 times a game.
Right.
And they turned it over 10 times last week. 7 fumbles, 3 interceptions last week's game. There's no way that you can win a game.
Right.
There's no way that you can even be even close to having a chance to win a game.
Well, when you generally have, 7, 8 possessions a game, and the other opponent has 7 or 8 possessions. Now you're taking 5 of your 7 and ending them early and giving the ball to your opponent. That's 5 more chances that they have to score. And if it's happening on your end of the field, it's 5 easy chances to score. So you're right. They continue down that path of turning the ball over 5 times a game. They'll be fortunate to win any more games. East Burke did beat Patton earlier this year, but that's one of those county teams up there that struggles year in and year out.
Yeah, this should be a game like Crest played Chase last night. Should be over first quarter, second quarter, and that's what I'm going to look at. Shelby averages 35 points a game. I don't think East Burke has defense or offense that can play with them when they get on the field.
Well, this will be one of those games where Shelby will probably enter the game, run their offense, as they usually do.
Oh, yeah.
Once they put about 3 scores on the board, then maybe start working on some stuff that they know they need to develop and continue to work on. But I will say this, East Burke hired high school football legend Tom Brown to start this season, and Coach Brown is finding it a little tougher over here at East Burke than he did. Was he at Maiden for all those years? At Maiden for all those years. Built a powerhouse at Maiden over the years, and give him time, he could develop the East Burke program, much like Coach Rob Cincinnati, at Burns.
Yes.
You got to give these guys a few years to build their program, to get the younger kids buying into your philosophy in the weight room, working, and build that winning mentality. But the players to watch for Shelby, quarterback R.J. George set gobs and gobs of records last year.
Week after week.
He has struggled some this year, and I think some of that's got to do with he had some awesome receivers last year, and some of that's got to do with he's got some young receivers this year, and it's just going to take a while for those kids to develop. Running back Chad Reed, this is probably the best athlete on that team. Chad Reed, this is a kid that was a backup running back to Raekwon Washington last year. He is the most explosive kid on that team. He can score from the running back, the slot, the punt returner, kick returner. They'll throw him the ball out of the backfield some. He is probably what I would call the 1A or 1B player, with R.J. George the 1A. But Chad Reed is a beast out there on offense. And then defensive end Clay Husky is their probably, along with Garyon Addison, their top defensive players. I think Shelby's going to win this one big. First quarter, mid-second quarter, this game's over, and you're beginning to see some backups get some valuable time.
And, I think that's good for the whole program if you're a Shelby or a Crest, because then you get to establish backups that can come into a game. You're able to learn what they can do instead of waiting till late in the year to get them some opportunities. If you get able to get them now, maybe some of these guys can be filled in at other positions.
Well, I agree with that. I went over to watch Crest and Chase last night. Into the first quarter, it's 28-0 Crest, which, every possession resulted in a touchdown. Chase could barely move the ball, 2 or 3 yards here. I think they had 30 yards halftime and finished with 60 total for the game. But the thing was that I noticed that the start of the second quarter, Crest was up 28-0 and had their entire defensive front were subs and backups.
I know when they went to halftime, I was listening to them, and Andy Foster, and they went down to Rob Room, and he was down there doing an interview with Mark Barnes, and Barnes was like, there's a lot of things that we need to work on, and I love that because he had subs in there, and they were making mistakes, and he was getting ready to go to the locker room to try to fix those so when they come back out in the second half. And I know when they come back out in the second half, Chase – really, at that time, I think it was just pretty much an even swap there for a while with Chase, before they scored a couple more touchdowns to finish it off. But, it's a great thing to get your backups in. I think it will help Crest on down the road because they're starting 11 on offense and defense is very, very solid.
Very solid, but injuries do happen. We've already lost a couple of kids for a series, and I did notice last night there were troubles at the center with the snapping high, but that's a kid that has had to step in after David Grant got injured a few weeks ago, hurt his knee. He'll be back later on, but you can tell when an injury does occur, there's a drop-off in talent level, and this kid, Partlow, I believe his name is, he's getting some valuable experience at the center position that could come in very handy as the year goes along. And a lot of those kids, there's a swap out in games like this. When you're up 40-0 at halftime, your starters, you tend to pull them out and let the backups play. But the good news is your backups are getting valuable experience. The bad news is your starters aren't getting into four-quarter shape. So there's going to be a trade-off there, but for the future, next year, the year after, these young guys getting all these extra snaps, I think it's going to be very valuable for these guys.
And that'll be something after we take a break. We'll come back because I want to speak of some more of that, of a few teams that's in the past that had total concentration all the way through the year, and then their starters was not getting to play all that time. And then when it got to the end, I really worried that kind of bothered them in the fourth quarter of games that was close.
Very well could. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here on KTCBroadcasting.com, the Witherspoon Insurance Pregame Show. Come on back with us.
You hear them pads going click, 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 click. You hear them clicks going tap, tap, tap.
704 beats by Alex J.
Yeah. First and 10. We in the trenches. You like the water cooler. You be on the benches. Think your team better, but they lack skill. First snap, I leave your backs in the backfield. Your quarterback scared, I see it in his eyes. Sent the receiver in motion, that's just a disguise. My linebackers, they stepping up. Clog a hole, no letting up. Taking on them big blocks. On fourth down, we get big stops. My secondary is balling out. Your offense keeps stalling out. How many yards? Like none at all. Cause special teams come punt the ball and it's gone. And you never see me fair catch. I get a block and then I'm gone like a Lear jet. My helmet on, pass strap tight. My jersey shining in them Friday night lights.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
I'm Lon Helton, inviting you to join me as I count down the top 30 country hits in the USA, along with co-host Luke Bryan, who tells me what it's like to headline stadiums.
This is as close a feeling like staring at heaven almost. I mean, it was that powerful.
That's Luke Bryan this week on Country Countdown USA.
Country Countdown USA with Lon Helton. Friday afternoons 1 to 4, right here at Big O Country and online at ktcbroadcasting.com.
Grab a Bud Light and gather round, NFL fans, to hear the tale of Wayne Tupperhill. Wayne spent the entire 97 Panthers season calculating the perfect Bud Light to ice to cooler size ratio, or the BIC. Now, could Wayne kick a 47-yard field goal in the driving rain? No, but he did once knock over a 6th century armless bust to save a falling Bud Light. Now, the football gods didn't create just one Wayne Tupperhill. Far more legends walk amongst us with a similar love for Bud Light. And some will be rewarded with experiences like tickets or an ultimate NFL weekend. So be like Wayne this season and visit your local beer aisle or upforwhatever.com. Bud Light, the perfect beer for whatever happens.
Ultimate NFL experience open to U.S. residents 21 plus. No purchase necessary. Ends 12/31/14. See upforwhatever.com for details. Void where prohibited. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer. AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Distributed by Standard Distributors in Gastonia.
Check out the new storage buildings at the Roundup store in Shelby. Come see the new vinyl siding storage building and the new T111 wood siding buildings. The Roundup wooden storage buildings are built to last. And check out their line of beautiful kitchen cabinets too. Make your dream kitchen a reality. The Roundup Store, 1610 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby. Open 8:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 8:30 till noon on Saturday. Online at roundupstoreshelby.com.
It's Corks and Taps for Hospice. Thursday night, October 16th at the LeGrand Center in Shelby. Corks and Taps is a special wine and beer tasting event and auction. And there will be special music by Swing 30 and the Black Coffee Trio. Plus food provided by Smoke on the Square. Tickets are $30 in advance or $35 at the door and are available at Hospice of Cleveland County in Shelby, the Kings Mountain Hospice House, or the Hospice Store on East Marion Street in Shelby. For more information, call Hospice at 704-487-4677. Corks and Taps for Hospice, Thursday, October 16th.
When you need a ride, Specialized Transport has exactly what you're looking for, serving Gaston, Lincoln, Catawba, Burt, Caldwell, and Cleveland counties. Specialized Transport has your area covered. Ambulatory, wheelchair, and geriatric chair transport. Handicap transportation services and non-medical transport services are available as well. When you need a ride, call Dean Hastings at 704-735-5676. Specialized Transport will get you where you need to be. 704-735-5676.
Are there painting projects you've been putting off around the house? Put them off no longer with a stop at Ferguson Ace Hardware in Cherryville. They have the perfect paint for every project. Pick up a gallon of Royal Interior Flat Latex Paint, the #1 selling paint. And look your best with Nike, Eddie Bauer, and Carhartt clothing, including the Eddie Bauer fishing shirts. Brighten up your home and look your best with a stop at Ferguson Ace Hardware, Highway 150 East in Cherryville.
Kibo's, in its 20th year of serving you, is still locally owned by Keith Airwood. Come by and see Keith and the gang. Kibo's features delicious Hunt Brothers pizza, good for tailgating and for those upcoming holiday parties. Also, there are snack items such as soft drinks, candy, chips, and pastries. Plus, packaged and hand-dipped ice cream, milk, bread, tobacco products, and don't forget to fill that vehicle up with gas. At Kibo's, your favorite stop for 20 years, located on Highway 226 North at the Caution Light, Shelby.
Friday night lights, win. We just came to win. We must protect this house.
And we're back, and that's our KTCBroadcasting.com official pregame song. Really dig that thing. You know, I'm a 57-year-old white guy, and I like that song, so I'm multicultural.
I'm with you.
All righty. Hey, we've got a caller on the line. Michael, are you still hanging in there with us?
Yeah.
Michael, sorry we had to go to break there. Got to pay the bills. We appreciate you waiting around. Michael, what game of the three in the area are you going to tonight?
Burns and East Rufton.
Well, you've got a good one to go to. Michael, if I remember correctly, you're a Burns fan, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Burns is going to have their hands full tonight with East Rutherford. From what we understand and what we've heard in the past, East is really a decent little team. How do you feel about your chances tonight?
Good deal. Good.
Well, do you expect Barbie to have a good game, or are they going to throw the ball a lot, run the ball?
Well, we'll have a good bit tonight.
All right. Are you there now?
No, I'm heading that way.
All right. Well, it's 6:11, so you still got about an hour and a half before kickoff. So, do you know AJ Camp? AJ has really blossomed as a running back for the Bulldogs this year. Michael, can you hear me, Michael? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, just checking. Do you ever get a chance to talk to the players?
I'll be I've been talking to the players lately.
Okay, good. Well, are the kids feeling better about the season?
Yeah.
Well, you beat East Burke last year, didn't you? Last week?
Yes. We played last week. We was at the
East Burke, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We beat them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what, Michael. On this game right here, if Burns picks up a win here, they'll go to 3-3 and 3-1 in the conference, and they'll start thinking about a chance at a conference title up there if they can pick up a win tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Burns? Conference title?
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Well, Michael, we appreciate you calling in. We hope you enjoy the game. It should be a good one. And
yeah.
East Rutherford has got some really good running backs that should really test your defense. But after the job your defensive coach did with Freedom and holding that Emmons kid down until mid-fourth quarter, I got a feeling Burns has got a real good chance tonight.
I know they will.
All right. Well, Michael, thank you so much for calling, and enjoy the game.
What?
All right. Have a good. I lost him.
Yeah, I think he's gone from us. But hey, I mean, look at it. You could go to 3-3, 3-1 in the conference. You don't know what's going to happen in this thing.
Well, that's true.
That's true. Really, I mean, if you're 3-1, hey, all you do is sit back and say, well, if this team beats this team beats this team, then all of a sudden I'm in a deadlock tie for first on down the stretch. So it could happen.
It could. It could happen to you. All right, let's moving on to our games. If I can find my little trusty sheet of paper. Terry, Ashbrook is at North Gaston. Let's see when that game's being played. It's all canceled. The whole conference, the whole Big South just said, screw it, we're going to play next week. Ashbrook plays Monday night at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Ashbrook comes in 2-3 against a 2-3 North Gaston. And, Ashbrook has really underachieved this year, but I got a feeling that this game, Ashbrook and North Gaston, they're both not very strong teams, but there's different levels of strong teams.
I'm the same way. Ashbrook leads this series 17-2. They've won the last 6. North Gaston's only averaging 13 points a game. And in high school, unless your defense is awful strong, if you're only averaging 13 points a game, and that's going to be very testy here. Ashbrook, I think, should win this game easily going away.
Well, the Big South schedule – really, for Ashbrook, they played a tough non-conference schedule. And Ashbrook, the Big South schedule is a much-needed relief for them.
It is.
They needed to get off that tough non-conference schedule and get some wins under their belt. And Stuart Kramer, North Gaston, possibly Hunter Huss, although Hunter Huss beat North Gaston last week 20-something to nothing.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder North Gaston struggling on both sides of the ball. We came into the year expecting their defense to be pretty stout for a North Gaston team, as they had like 9 of their 11 starters back, but they've really struggled on both sides of the ball.
And when I look at it, I say, Ashbrook defeated them last year 35-14, and North Gaston was pretty decent.
And
squad last year.
What to expect? A 0 offense and an average defense equals a long night for the Wildcats. And I believe we have another caller on the line. Hello, caller.
Good afternoon, fellas. David Keever here.
David.
Calling from West Lincoln.
Thank you for calling. We were just about to get into that West Lincoln game. And David?
Yeah, well, first, I just want to mention what a beautiful night for football.
Yes, it is. Low 70s.
Yeah, so that's about all I'll say. I heard you guys talking earlier in the show and giving them, giving them a little leeway there, but I can promise you I'm not going to give them any leeway. Football Friday nights was made for high school football, and unless it's just pouring down rain or storming at game time, games need to be played on Friday nights. I don't think you'll have any larger crowd. I bet you East Lincoln lose about 60% tomorrow for what they would have had tonight.
I believe they will. I agree with you.
Well, David, I got a question for you. I know you're over there and you're getting ready to watch this game. It's a game that West Lincoln won last year. Tom Sane is 1-0 against Bunker Hill. They won 20-16. But if you go on back in history, West Lincoln has been 1-14 against them all since then, and Bunker Hill leads this series 31-13. What does West Lincoln have to do tonight to dadgum stop? Well, I mean, a very explosive offense for Bunker Hill. But again, what does West Lincoln have to do tonight to win this game?
take care of the ball, don't turn it over, and score on all possessions. I think pound Mac George, run Mac George, and run Mac George some more will be the bulk of the offense tonight for West Lincoln. Don't be surprised if you see the Lincoln County rushing record for single game go down tonight. Mac George has got a good chance maybe of getting up in the 300-yard range tonight against this team because they're going to get a lot of possessions. Bunker Hill can score, but Terry, you know well as I do, they've had their trouble stopping other people.
Oh, yeah, and we're talking about a team, Bunker Hill, that gives up 468 yards of total offense a game.
Per game on the
average.
average.
That's 54 points a game. And when you got Mac George coming in there that's got 973 yards and 10 touchdowns on the year, it looks like it could be a big night for him.
Oh, he's got to be slobbering. I mean, he's got to be just so looking forward to this opportunity, you know. But you know, on defense, they're going to have their hands full too. I mean, West Lincoln's got to, you know, they're going to have to get a stop or two, or maybe even 3 in this game, because Bunker Hill, as you said, they've been putting up points, and we've said it since week 2 when they had how many points? 99.
Oh yes.
In the first 2 weeks,
well,
and we're 0-2.
Sure was, and they had 160 after 4 games and was 0-4,
averaging 40 points per game.
Just unbelievable what they've been able to do on the scoreboard. But you'd think at some point in time, you know, if your offense is clicking like that, at some point in time your defense will come around where you'd at least get some stops, maybe 50% of the time. But it just haven't been that way for Bunker Hill. And I don't know if their offense will click tonight, because the question up here is, will their quarterback play? He was injured last week in the Maiden game, and don't know his status yet. I think the last name's Chapman. I'll take that to the bank, but I think his last name's Chapman. But the question is whether or not he will play tonight, and it could be a totally different Bunker Hill offense if he's not in the game.
Well, Rick, I think that's the key, because Cameron Chapman's averaging 187 yards passing for Bunker Hill. That's apparently how they make most of their living. If he's not there and you take away that phase of the game, I got a feeling that West Lincoln just rolls over them.
And that's very possible, very possible.
Have you seen West Lincoln play this year?
I've seen them a couple times. I sure have.
Okay.
And
now, one thing I will say, West Lincoln rarely throws the ball. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Maybe 3 or 4 times a game just to keep teams honest. But, you know, most of the time it's a handoff to that fullback Mac George, or maybe a sweep to Daniel Chesney. But they like to run the ball. They like to run the ball and play ball control, and they're pretty good at it.
Well, how's the crowd up there right now?
Still early, but starting to fill in. We're still an hour and 10 minutes till game time, but I wouldn't expect anything but a big crowd. Am I right? There's only 4 games in the area.
Burns at East Rutherford, Drawn at Kings Mountain.
Kings Mountain, Drawn, and then West Lincoln here at home against Bunker. Isn't there one more? Or
maybe West Caldwell at Bandy's.
West Caldwell Bandy's is playing tonight.
West Caldwell Bandy's. There you go.
That's all we see is 4 games in the area.
Yeah, only 4 games maybe in a 50-mile circle. I would think all the stadiums would be packed tonight.
You would think so, although Burns is at East. Well, we mentioned that. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, they should have a good crowd for that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would expect that to be a good crowd, because you're going to have some Shelby folks and some Crest folks all heading over to East Rutherford to get a look at both those teams. Shelby hasn't played East yet. And also with the West Lincoln Bunker Hill game, you should have some Lincoln and East Lincoln different schools coming to, get a look at the competition down the road.
Yeah, the coaches will get a chance to see their opponents a little bit. But here's the thing, too. With the exception of Kings Mountain and Drawn, because I think Kings Mountain's a heavy favorite to beat Drawn tonight.
Right.
Those other 3 games are very even matchups. Those other 3 games could be very even matchups with a lot of points on the board at all 3 of those places. So I think Burns East Rutherford's a terrific matchup.
Absolutely. Even if all the games were on tonight, I felt like the East Lincoln game was the game of the week, but I thought the Burns East Rutherford was my number 2 game of the week, just based on the competitive value of that game.
Yep. Yeah, we don't have that many, but they are quality games. They really are.
And the game you got tonight has got 2 teams that are 0-1. Very big for one of these teams to pick up a conference victory instead of falling to 0-2. And another thing I want to mention is you and Rick, man. I always watch ESPN, and they always have this college tour bus that goes around. You and Rick needs a high school tour bus for tonight and tomorrow.
You got that right. 3 games in about a 27-hour span. Starting tonight here at 7:30. We'll probably finish up tomorrow night about 9:30. So a lot of football to take in for us. And I'm looking forward to it, though, Terry, because, look at the games we got. A game tonight where we could see 100 points possibly. You never know. We might see 100 points. Then you got the rivalry game of the year in Lincoln County, East Lincoln and Langton playing tomorrow for a share of first place in the conference. And in the nightcap tomorrow night, what better rivalry than Maiden at Newton Conover, the Battle of the Devils, the blue and the red. So, we got 3 games in about a 24-hour span, but, boy, they really are appealing.
Well, be sure to tune in, folks, tomorrow for Game Day with Rick Mitchum and David Keever as they do the marathon games. And, again, as you mentioned, Rick, all 3 are really good games, really going to be really entertaining.
I'm David there, Terry.
Yeah, I see it. That's David Keever.
But all 3. I think
Yeah.
all 3 of our games are really good matchups. I can't imagine, unless the quarterback's out tonight for bunker, and that takes something away from their offense. Yeah, I like our 3 games this weekend.
Well, as they say, it's something to do. We hope you enjoy your game, David. Thanks a bunch for calling. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And y'all
Appreciate
enjoy
it,
the
guys.
game. We'll be keeping up with you tonight on ktcbroadcasting.com.
He's gone now.
And that's it for David Keever, who I called him Rick Mitchum 2 or 3 times. I wrote both of them's name down so I could remember that.
Well, I was going to say something. I said, well, he's not said nothing yet, so I'm just going to.
Well, we've got all these different
it is.
broadcasting crews, and some of them I don't really know very well. Of course, Dan and Andy I've known for many, many years, and Rob and Tim and Andy. I say Dan and Andy, Dan and Calvin, the Burns broadcasters. Yeah. Then you've got the other guys that do the Crest games I've known for years. Milton and Danny Aker. But so there's like David 5 different crews that we send out to cover these games. So you know them all firsthand. You've been up here so long.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna. Let's see. We're getting a point from a break. Okay, a point from our producer, Steve. We're going to take a quick break here on the KTCBroadcasting.com Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. Stick around.
You hear them pads going clack, 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 clack. You hear them clicks going tap, 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 tap.
704 beats by Alex J.
Yeah.
We've been watching our weather deteriorate through the afternoon. Clouds, rain. It's all with our cold front that's still back to the west in Tennessee. Tonight, mostly cloudy with evening showers. Cooler, the low in the low to mid-50s. Tomorrow, it's great football weather. Sunny, breezy, cooler, less humid. The high in the mid-60s to about 70. Saturday night lows, likely for most of us to be in the 30s. Sunday, it's sunny and very cool with highs in the low to mid-60s. And we begin the warm-up on Monday. I'm Mike Mays in the North Carolina News Network Weather Center.
Currently at the Big O Country Studios, it's 6:25, and the temperature is 77 degrees.
Experience, not politics. That's what you get with District Attorney candidate Mike Miller. Since 1997, Mike Miller has been practicing law, including 12 as a prosecutor, 3 years as an NCIS agent, and 2 years of private practice. Mike Miller has tried hundreds of jury and non-jury trials, including armed robbery, kidnapping, and first-degree murder. And for the past 3.5 years, he has supervised the Lincoln County District Attorney Office. Experience, not politics. Mike Miller, candidate for District Attorney in Lincoln and Cleveland counties. For more information, go to MikeMillerForDA.com. This announcement paid for by friends of Mike Miller. Old Man Winter is just around the corner. It's time to fill up your tank with home heating oil or kerosene from Energy Direct in Shelby. They promise to beat anybody's price. Check with Energy Direct in Shelby before you fill her up for the winter. Just give them a call at 704-482-0351. Again, that's 704-482-0351. They will beat anybody's price on home heating oil or kerosene, and that's guaranteed. Energy Direct. Now in the new offices at 413 South Lafayette Street, Shelby.
Hello again, Milton Baker here for Trick One Customs on the Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. Wade and his staff at Trick One Customs believe in a good job and a fair price, with customer satisfaction their #1 goal. Trick One Customs sells and services and has parts for all major brands of motorcycles, ATVs, and dirt bikes too. For these services and more, visit Trick One Customs, 1924 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln, just south of the courthouse, or call 704-736-9960, online at www.trickonecustoms.com.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like The Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
Mr. Sparky, we're on time, you'll see. Mr. Sparky, or your repair is free.
Hi, Rusty Wise here. Do you know that Mr. Sparky specializes in on-time electrical service for every job? If there's a light that doesn't light or an outlet that's out, don't let that drive you crazy. Call Mr. Sparky. We have qualified electricians, all the work is guaranteed, and no job is too small. Call us today. We'll be on time, you'll see, or the repair is free. Since we price by the job and not by the hour, you'll save money. You'll love our clean vans and crisp uniforms. So don't wait. If you need an electrician, don't put it off. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Mr. Sparky, we're on time, you'll see. Mr. Sparky, or your repair is free.
If you need an electrician, don't put it off. Call Mr. Sparky, 888-8-SPARKY.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
A promise was made. A promise that hit the beaches of Normandy. A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A contract that weathered Tet. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
He did it again. I didn't hear my rap song. All right. Well, hey, guess what? We're back on the KTCBroadcasting.com Witherspoon Insurance pregame show as we're entering into the final segment of the show. And we want to take another quick moment to thank the Parkway House Family Restaurant here in Cherryville for providing our pregame meals, hot dog basket, chip beef on rice. Is that what you said?
Gravy over rice.
Gravy over rice.
Yes.
They have a to-go menu, lunch and dinner. Food's awesome. You can call them at 704-769-8055. They're open every day, Monday through Sunday, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I guess they close the doors when people quit coming.
Yes.
But they're open 7 days a week, and we really appreciate them providing our food.
I want to run down our games again before we get into everything.
Schedule.
Our Southern District 7 in Lincoln and East Lincoln. If you're planning on this, everybody pay attention. Lincoln and East Lincoln will be Saturday at 1 p.m. Maiden and Newton Conover Saturday at 7 p.m. David Kiefer and Rick Mitchell will be doing those games, so stay tuned to WLON to listen for all that. Bunker Hill and West Lincoln are playing tonight. They are at that game tonight, going to be showing it and airing it for everybody to pay attention. For that one, two teams, Bunker Hill 0-1, West Lincoln 0-1. One of them going to pick up their first victory. West Caldwell and Bandy's are playing tonight. In the Big South 2A, 3A, all the games have been moved. Hunter Huss and South Point goes to Saturday at 7. Forest View, Stuart Kramer, Monday at 7. Ashbrook, North Gaston, Monday at 6. Lake Norman Charter and East Gaston Saturday at 6. In the South Mountain Athletic 2A, 3A, Burns and East Rutherford will play tonight, and we will be carrying that and airing that.
Yahoo!
So, that's it. Big game there. Burns 2-1, East Rutherford 1-1. One of them making a step up in the conference. Crest had no trouble with Chase last night, 44-0, running their record to 6-0 and 3-0 in the conference. Shelby and East Burke will play Monday at 7 p.m. Drone and Kings Mountain will play tonight. In the North Piedmont 3A, 4A, Lake Norman and Statesville will play Saturday at 7 p.m. North Iredell and Mooresville, Saturday, 7 p.m. West Iredell, South Iredell, Saturday, 7 p.m. Alexander Central and North Lincoln played last night. North Lincoln coming out on top 21-9, running their record to 4-2 and 1-1 in the conference. In the Northwestern 3A, 4A, Fretty Ford and Watauga are playing tonight. St. Stephen's and High Brighton playing tonight. Hickory and Freedom will play at 7 p.m. tonight, so they're almost ready to go. South Caldwell and Patton have already started. They're playing right now. They started at 6:30.
Oddly enough, to start early. I guess their thinking was to get it over with, maybe beat the 8 o'clock rain that they were predicting.
It is, and one more. Highland Tech and Thomas Jefferson play Saturday at 6:30.
Should be a sellout. Should be a crowd there for that one. All right, let's briefly let our fans know that about this time every Friday is when we say goodbye to our Crest fans, because they generally start their pregame show at 6:30.
Yes.
But not tonight. Not tonight. We get to keep you all the way to the 7 o'clock hour tonight, because Crest played last night, and all you Crest fans are here with us for the duration, and we want to thank you for that. Well, Terry, let's get into, we've covered a little bit, Kings Mountain drawn. Kings Mountain's missing Brandon Bell, their quarterback, for a couple more weeks. McLean, their running back, got hurt in the second half last week, or late in the first half, and was out the rest of the game. That really impacted Kings Mountain, losing those two pieces against Shelby. But I think with drawn this week, it's not going to be much of an issue, I wouldn't think.
It shouldn't now. I mean, I want to say that. Kings Mountain leads this series 1-0. They played last year. They defeated them 39-13. I mean, drawn won 39-13. Excuse me.
Yeah,
in this series, but this is a series. Drawn is 22-42 overall as a football squad. Kings Mountain, in the last 28 games they have played, they are 10-18. You know, and last year when we saw this game come up, everybody that I knew picked Kings Mountain, said they had too much talent, and I was one of them people.
Right.
But when they went up there, Drone just pretty much manhandled them and put them where they wanted to put them and took care of the game very easily.
Well, last year Kings Mountain was a sinking ship. Between injuries and the whole works, they won their first two games, and then it was downhill from there. They lost some kids, key kids, to injury, and those kids they lost their heart last year. They didn't have it in them, and they should have beaten Drone last year, but they lost big because they apparently just quit and give up on the year. Well, it's a whole different attitude this year. You've got a winning mentality this year. They're 5-1 with their only loss to Shelby last week, and then they were missing two key components of their team. The little engine that could, Brandon Bell, he is what makes that team go on offense.
Now, is he a guy that's going to be out for a few weeks? I keep hearing 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, what I heard today was he's out for at least another week, this week and maybe next week. Okay. Of course, next week they play Crest. Yes. So you got to wonder, will he be back in time for that game? But definitely he's out tonight, and I don't know about the status for the McLean, the running back. He's a sophomore running back that's very strong for them. Well, let's get into what we would all consider is not being played tonight. It'll be played tomorrow noonish, noon 1 o'clock. Lincoln, 4-1 in the Southern District 7, will travel over to East Lincoln and play the 5-0 East Lincoln Mustangs. I was trying to think what kind of horse they were. They're the Mustangs. Yes. This has the look of just a classic.
This game here, East Lincoln, the number 1 offense in the league, 402 yards a game. They average 37 points a game against Lincoln's defense, which only gives up 238 yards, and that averages out to be 15 points a game. So if you're talking about contracting styles, this is something to be. Lincoln is going to come in there with Roberts and Roseboro on the ends, going to make Surratt have to beat them through the air or up the middle. And, you know, and when you're Lincoln and East Lincoln both, but Lincoln especially with all the speed that they have out there on the field, they loved. It's not 2 guys hitting you, it's 3 or 4 or 5 guys hitting you all at one time. This game should come down to be 2 years ago when they played down at East Lincoln. Everybody had East Lincoln predicted to win. Lincoln, it was not even on the map to be in that game, and Lincoln almost pulled an upset then down there. This is one of them games, so I think it's going to come down to the very end of who wins this game. Cloninger comes in here. He's 10-6 against East Lincoln. Mike Bias is 5-6, as he's only been there since 2005. 2 great coaches, 2 great attitudes, 2 great benches, coaches. A great game to see tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Well, David Keever and Rick Mitchell will have all the action for you tomorrow at 1 o'clock on ktcbroadcasting.com. That will be another one. I'll be making sure that I'm in my lazy boy at home watching that one on ktcbroadcasting.com. You know, really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, a lot of people look back and they say, well, it's a county rival, you know, but Lincoln leads this all-time series 31-11.
Well, rivalry, like you say, that I don't know if it will classify for that exactly, but this is a big game. Both teams are strong. I was just looking at the AP poll for this week, and East Lincoln remains number 2 in the poll. Lincoln's not in the top 10 or 11 or 12, I would think, which shocks me because they're 4-1. They've done well this year, and their only loss was to a North Lincoln when they were missing their quarterback.
And it's also a Lincoln team that, like you said, lost to North Lincoln, and a North Lincoln team that almost beat East Lincoln. If it wasn't for Chaz Surratt blocking an extra point at the very end of that game, because they defeated them like 28-27, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So
well, I'm expecting that if Lincoln can pull this off, they'll jump into the 2A polls next week because they've got a very good team. They've got a former Michigan commit.
Yeah.
Darian Roseborough has decommitted from there. Now, the interesting thing I saw is that I'm just flipping through Twitter, and there's a picture of Darian Roseborough wearing an NC State shirt. He had visited, did a visit there. And that
Saturday
evening, I saw where he decommitted from Michigan, which made me think, well, maybe he decided he liked State better. But from what I understand, the Michigan coach, his job's on a thread right now. There's not expecting him to be back next year. So Roseborough probably decided that he didn't want to get into some new mess up there with a new coach, not knowing what their philosophies are. Does that coach even want him? So probably best right now to decommit and see how that plays out.
Well, I don't blame him for what he has done here. With everything that's going on up there, he's not the first one. There's quite a few recruits that have sitting back now and just waiting, and some of them already have decommitted, just like Darian has. But I don't blame him for wanting to get into that mess. Not one second.
Well, at least step back and see how it plays out, and consider his other options, which could be State. I understand Tennessee, Clemson. All the big schools are on his list, so he's got a choice to go just about anywhere he wants. Well, in this game, it's the ground and pound offense of Lincoln against the league's, and they have the league's top defense, only allowing 15 points a game, against the East Lincoln Chaz Surratt show, averaging 400 yards per game, 37 points per game. I mean, these are two big-time D1 players going to be on the field at the same time. So, if for nothing else, you get the chance to go see Darian Roseborough play and Chaz Surratt on the same field, because I promise you next year, Chaz Surratt, you're going to be hearing about Carolina and State and probably Clemson and Florida State. These are all going to be guys that are looking at Chaz Surratt next year. But my expectations are this will be an excellent high school football game.
I'm with you 100% on this one.
All right. Briefly, let's talk about the Maiden-Newton Conover game. I don't have a lot of information on Maiden. They're 4-1. Newton Conover comes in 4-0-1. You and I were having a talk off the air about trying to figure out Newton Conover. They're ranked in the 2A poll. They're up there at number 6 this week in the state 2A poll. But I think you and I both would agree we're not 100% sold on Newton Conover yet.
Well, I'm just like we sat here and said. I mean, when they played Freedom, I thought, man, what a tie. Newton Conover tied Freedom, because I look at Freedom as one of the top teams around here. But then when I sat back and they come out last week, and there for a long time, I thought West Caldwell was going to win that game. You know, I mean, West Caldwell had the lead in the second, was up 28-20 at one time, and it went on. But then Newton comes back to win it 60-50. But then when I sat back, I'm like, okay, who is Newton Conover? Is this, I mean, when you're giving up 50 points to West Caldwell, or is West Caldwell that much better of a team? So, I mean, this is a mysterious thing to finish out as we continue on with our high school football.
Well, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's not as much about Newton Conover being overrated as it is. Maybe West Caldwell is just way better than we thought.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking. I mean, West Caldwell makes a trip down to Bandy's tonight. They're 2-3, 0-1 against a Bandy's team that is 3-2 and 0-1. West Caldwell pulls off an upset here. Hey, then they might be saying, look, we're a little bit better than what people thought.
Well, maybe so. Well, Matt Beam, I understand, called the show last week, talked to the post-game show briefly about the game. I never did hear. Did anybody ask him the question? I asked Tom to ask him the question about the draw with Freedom. Is that an official draw, or is that an official no contest?
That was an official draw.
It is a draw.
And it's one of them things, both of them squads are going to have to drop a game, so that's going to be the game that they drop.
If that is their only,
yes,
which I guess now that we're in the conference play,
yeah,
that would be the only blemish on their record, so it didn't really matter. All right, well, Maiden, West Caldwell, and West Caldwell goes to Bandy's. That rounds out these SD7. We've talked about the South Mountain Athletic Conference. I guess what we've got left is a few games in the Big South, 2A, 3A. Lake Norman Charter will travel over to East Gaston. East Gaston won last year, 33-7. Have these teams played?
That was the only meeting between these two squads.
All right.
East Gaston leads at 1-0. This should be East Gaston. To me, is a squad that when you watch them play, they're going to have a quarter good, 2 quarters good, but then they're going to have 2 bad quarters. They've got to put all 4 quarters together to finish a game.
Well, I've got a note here that East Gaston has -9 in turnovers on the year, and I thought that was bad until you brought up the East Berks minus 25. And that kind of put this -9 in less serious. But for East Gaston to have a chance tonight, they've got to hold on to the ball. Even though Lake Norman Charter is not the team that a lot of them are, the Warriors being -9 in the turnovers this year, they're going to have to do a better job. Lake Norman Charter's a mediocre team. They played a very soft preseason non-conference schedule, and I think East Gaston's tough non-conference schedule really comes into favor for them tonight, as they're probably going to beat Lake Norman Charter
very easily.
All righty. And we're going to take another quick break. Last break before we finish out the show here on the KTCBroadcasting.com Weatherspoon Insurance Pregame Show.
Friday night lights, all at win. We just came to win. All at win. We must protect this house. I'm in a huddle talking to the Hawks. We gonna run it down their throat soon as we get the ball. Come out and fire off the ball. We going on one. My skill position.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. Experience, not politics. That's what you get with District Attorney candidate Mike Miller. Since 1997, Mike Miller has been practicing law, including 12 as a prosecutor, 3 years as an NCIS agent, and 2 years of private practice. Mike Miller has tried hundreds of jury and non-jury trials, including armed robbery, kidnapping, and first-degree murder. And for the past 3.5 years, he has supervised the Lincoln County District Attorney Office. Experience, not politics. Mike Miller, candidate for District Attorney in Lincoln and Cleveland counties. For more information, go to MikeMillerForDA.com. This announcement paid for by friends of Mike Miller. ENT Carolina is not your parents' allergy treatment. Now, no shots, no pain, no fear. Ask about the sublingual immunotherapy. Drops are placed under your tongue, and just 2 minutes a day is all it takes. It's safe, effective, and you do it on your own schedule. And best of all, no weekly doctor visits. Call today for a consultation with one of their board-certified allergy specialists. Visit a location near you. ENT Carolina, 2520 Aberdeen Road in Gastonia, 1212 Spruce Street in Belmont, and 1180 White Road in Shelby. Listen up, Newton Conover Red Devil fans. Walker's Pharmacy in downtown Newton is now your Newton Conover Red Devil apparel headquarters. You'll find Red Devil caps, t-shirts, sweatshirts, rain ponchos, collared shirts, and more. And all proceeds from the sale of Newton Conover merchandise goes to the Newton Conover Red Devil Booster Club. Show your Red Devil colors with a stop at Walker's Pharmacy. Walker's Pharmacy, 33 College Avenue in historic downtown Newton. Get your Newton Conover Red Devil apparel today. When it comes time to cut the grass, you'll be more than happy to do it on your new Husqvarna zero-turn mower or tractor mower from Carolina Hardware and Garden Center in Lincoln. You'll find one that's right for your lawn and your pocketbook, and get free delivery of your new mower. And now is the time to service your old mower. Bring it on in or call for pickup and delivery. From parts to service to a brand new Husqvarna mower, they do it all at Carolina Hardware and Garden Center on the Reesville Road in Lincoln, your Husqvarna dealer in this area. Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. On November 4th, make Eddie Holbrook one of your two choices for Cleveland County Commissioner. Eddie Holbrook is a moderate and works with both parties to promote success for our county. He is a strong advocate for Cleveland County, a dedicated and visionary leader. Visit EddieHolbrook.com to see Eddie's 5 points of re-election, including support of education, compensation and support for our first responders, recruitment of new economic development projects, support of travel and tourism, and recruitment of large and small businesses. On November 4th, vote Eddie Holbrook for Cleveland County Commissioner. This announcement paid for by the candidate.
There's our bumper music. KTCBroadcasting.com official theme song. I'm going to have to figure out the name of that song. It's 6:47. We got about 10 minutes left. A few more games to discuss, the AP football polls. And before we get into these last couple games, Terry, I want to talk about the Cleveland County Fair. 90 years this fair has been going on. It's happened for 90 straight years, and it's always had 2 Friday nights that they cover during their run. Last week, I was noticing when Kings Mountain Shelby played, I watched it on C19 TV in Shelby on the Time Warner cable, and I noticed that halfway through the first quarter, the Shelby side was half empty. Now, at first it shocked me because Shelby coming off a state championship with a lot of good players back. You got your record-setting quarterback back, and the stands are half full. You've got, 110 years of football over there. So that's a lot of graduates in the last 40 years of good quality that should be there supporting the program. I just wondered, after I thought about it a while, did the fair have that big of an impact on the crowd?
You know, when I think about stuff like that, I go back and I think, and I'm going to mention a few teams. Is it a big thing that the regular season does not mean that much for you? I'm not meaning about it, but this way, I'm meaning it by an absence of I'm going to speak of the Cherryville Post 100.
Very good.
Regular season. Very few people show up, but once you get to the playoffs, it's more and more people come.
Very good point.
I was watching Independence back when they was on win number 89 out of that 109 that they had to play West Meck. And I went down there to watch that game, and very few people were there. And I'm like, your team's won 89 straight. Looks like everybody would be here still supporting for this to go on and on and on. You know, sometimes I sit back and wonder, does winning not take over, like not a big deal here, we're going to be in the playoffs? That's when people come back to see us play.
Well, that could be a very good point, that you could have some fans that say, look, we're going to win them, we're going to lose them in the regular season, but when the playoffs come, that's when Shelby turns it on. That's when I'll be there to support them. That very likely has something to do with it, but I just still wonder if the fair impacts the local high school games that much. Over at Chase last night, big crowd on both sides of the stands. Crest had a very good following. We pulled into the parking lot at 7:30. We were running a few minutes late, and I was shocked at the amount of cars that were there. That parking lot was covered up.
Yes.
And it just amazed me on a Thursday night of all things, and the fairs in town, that both teams had that much fan support, and it just made me wonder about the Shelby, although the Shelby game was on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. And that has a lot to do with, Friday night, Saturday night are the big nights for the fair. So I just wondered if that had a big impact, or if it was just overall lack of support right now over at the Shelby program. And how can you not support them with them winning a state title last year?
Yeah, that's the thing that bothers me. When you are defending champions, it looks to me like more people would be out there supporting. Okay, I'm going to mention something. Take Crest. I mean, you said they was packed pretty much last night for their game.
Both sides, yeah.
But I think there's a program that Crest hasn't won in a while. Them fans are after something now.
That's true. That's very true.
And they're all coming back. Mark Barnes, and I'd love to see him to have a championship that he's never had. There's a lot of things there that supports Crest right now as people more into it. Is Shelby kind of falling off a little bit? Where people just don't. I'm finding that hard to believe.
Well,
because
it's a conundrum there. It's hard to figure out because they they do this every year. They maybe struggle a little bit in the regular season against larger schools, 3A and sometimes 4A competition. The fans kind of jump off the wagon a little bit complaining, but then come playoff time, they seem to make deep runs. And if it's not a deep run, it's a state title, as in last year. They won another one, in 2009 or 10, and they've made the West Regional Finals a couple times in between there. So postseason-wise, this school has had a phenomenal run in 2A. You would think, much like Maiden over the years and Thomasville and Albemarle, the smaller schools, you would think that those crowds would be covered up over there on Friday nights.
And you know, when you think about it, Sam, and I'm going to go back, and I'm trying to think of who the team that was in the state of it was something Stokes, North Stokes, or somebody that was in the state finals. There were so many people there for that one team that I was amazed. I mean, you know, when it's your first time to go there and it's packed, what a difference.
Well, we'll see how that game turns out Monday. We've got a caller on the line, I think they're telling me. So, hello, caller.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
Hey, we're doing fine. Who is this?
This is Stan from Flay, North Carolina.
Yeah,
on the way to
Stan
the West Lincoln game. Just catching a little bit of the conversation you and Terry were having about as far as fans showing up. One thing I think about is, you know, you look at Shelby, you look in the Crest area, you know, and you look at Charlotte. Those areas have so many things going on. You know, you've got restaurants, you've got, like you said, the fair, you've got this, that, and the other. But you look out in the smaller areas, like where I'm going right now over here in Vail to West Lincoln, there's not a lot going on, and it's the focal point of the community.
Right.
I agree 100%. Some of these teams, I'm surprised that they don't have more people there. But just looking at them, you look at Maiden, you look at Bandy's, you look at some of the other areas. This is a big thing to them. I mean, it's like here, I'm pulling in right now, and, you know, it's been raining and everything, and there's cars everywhere. So I think a lot of it is geographical, and, you know, I hate to say that, but there's so many more options to do at night.
Well, I agree with you there, and probably the best high school football atmosphere I ever saw was Shelby at Newton Conover about 2000, and it was just so cool to get to that place, the small atmosphere, the smaller stadium. You're sitting right on top of the field, and just everything that was going on there. And you're right about that. Those smaller communities, that is their source of pride.
Yeah, and, you know, the other week we went to Lincoln and we played. You know, it didn't turn out well, but I mean, that stadium sitting down where it's at, I think, and I mean, Terry may agree with me, may not, but I think it's probably one of the nicer stadiums in the area. I mean, it's nestled right down beside the river. The way they've got that layout, it's awesome. And I mean, it was a great atmosphere. But like I say too, you know, you go to a Maiden game, you know, everybody's there, and like Newton the same way. I remember years back, you talk about Shelby. I remember going to see Shelby and Bandy's play in the playoffs.
Right.
And you couldn't squeeze another person in there. So, like I said, you know, the smaller communities, it's surprising. But, you know, like I say, I hate to hear that, you know, some of the teams that are contending, you know, looking like like Shelby being a state champion, they only have more people there. I understand that there's, like I said, there's a lot more things going on with Shelby, a lot more restaurants, and like I say, the fair and everything. But, you know, I'll say this, and of course I'm West Lincoln. If we're 4-0 or we're 0-10, we're gonna come.
Well, good. That's excellent. That's the way it should be. I've been a Crest fan now for about 40-something years. I'm 57. And the bad years when we were in the conference over there in Charlotte, we went to those games, scared to death some nights because of the neighborhoods we were in, but we were there supporting them.
Yes.
And the good years, then, you know, we paid our dues, and now we've had a 20-year run of good years, and we know that there's going to be some bad years coming up someday, and the same thing at West Lincoln. Last year was a great year for you guys. Y'all had, and I'm sure you enjoyed the heck out of last year.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. A lot of letdowns, but, I mean, you know, and here's one thing talking about last year. We went to Hunter Huss. Bless those guys' hearts. They were in the playoffs, had a home game, and I sworn we had more people there. And I'm not knocking it, but, you know, there's more things going on in Gastonia. But we had more fans there than they did. And, I mean, it was shocking to me because I always remember hearing when I was younger the Ashbrook and Hunter Huss rivalry and all the teams. And,
right.
I hated it for those kids.
Right. Well, Sam, I've just got notice from Steve, our engineer, that we are up against the end of the show. So thank you so much for calling. We really appreciate it. I hope you'll call back next week. Let us know how the team's doing. And that's Sam Mace, I think. Is that the name you gave me?
Stan Nance.
Stan Nance. Oh, boy, I got that one wrong again, too. Sam Mace, Stan Nance. Well, that's going to do it for the KTCBroadcasting.com Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. I am Sam Davis, along with Terry Reinhardt. Hope you enjoy your games tonight, the few that we have. Oh, we got 2 more minutes. Okay. We got a couple more games we can talk about.
All right.
I thought he was ready to go. Well, let's talk about Hunter Huss at South Point, Terry. All right.
This is a game.
Give me 2 minutes to wrap up Huss and South Point, then we'll send it to you.
Okay, we got South Point, the 7-game winning streak in this series. South Point leads the series 18-4-1. This should be no trouble for South Point. They come in 2-3, 1-0. Hunter Huss 1-4, 1-0. But this should be a game that South Point wins pretty easily.
I would agree. Huss coming off a 27-0 win over North Gaston. New coach, new system. Yep. Maybe they get better as the year goes along, but it won't be tonight. South Point's going to roll.
Yeah, tomorrow night. But this is a game also last year that South Point just barely won, 28-27, when they went for 2 at the very end of the game to try to win.
Kerryon Moore was the difference maker there. Well, now that's officially going to do it. Steve said he's ready to take it. So Sam Davis for Terry Reinhardt. Be sure to watch Burns, East Rutherford, Bunker Hill, and West Lincoln tonight on KTCBroadcasting.com, and all the rest of the schedule tomorrow and Monday. So hope you have a great weekend.
And Cremation Center. And they want to take this time to invite you to their open house Sunday afternoon, October 19th from 2 to 4 p.m. The Stamey Tysinger Funeral Home and Cremation Center on Highway 182 in Falston, and the Stamey Cherryville Funeral Home on Dixie Street in Cherryville.
Deviney Lumber and Salvage in Polkville can save you on everything from hardware items to landscape timbers to treated lumber and mulch. Plus, Deviney's has dog kennels, paneling, windows, hardwood flooring, doors, exterior shutters, and more. So whether you're building new or remodeling, see Max and the folks at Deviney Lumber and Salvage. Call 704-538-8211 for Deviney Lumber and Salvage, Highway 226 in downtown Polkville.
Is your computer slow or outdated? Do you think you've got a virus? Interested in installing wireless internet in your home or business? Then give Computer Connections a call. Laptop, desktop, servers, and networking. If it has to do with PCs, they do it all. Computer Connections is a locally owned computer store and has been in business for the past 16 years. They look forward to serving Cleveland County and the surrounding counties for many, many more. Located at 1241-2 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, right beside Hendrick Appliance. Visit the website at painlesspc.net. Computer Connections. They make buying a PC painless. And good evening. Welcome to a beautiful night here, Dan, in I guess we're in Ellenboro or Forest City?
It's Forest City.
Forest City here. Yep, a beautiful night here, and I tell you what, the weather's cooperated, and I think we're going to have a great night for high school football here at East Rutherford High School and at Harrell Stadium.
A beautiful night is it. The rain came through in about an hour this afternoon, early in the afternoon, and hey, right now, partly cloudy skies, 72 degrees, good football weather.
Feels good. Hey, the Stadium Pregame Show brought to you by Cleveland Regional Medical Center, and we'll be, we got a lot of things. We're going to take a look at some of the key players to watch tonight. We're going to take a look at the What's Up Shopper Power Poll. We got a coach interview. I believe you went up and interviewed Coach Ron Cincinnati earlier this week. So we've got that coming up. Plus we got to tell you about all the games that's been rescheduled for tonight, Dan. I think the coaches are calling the games out. Well, I don't want to blame coaches. The officials or whomever calling the games off a little too soon. You told me this morning or around 1 o'clock that Al Conklin said the weather we're going to have at kickoff is the weather we've got right now.
Exactly. He said the rain this morning on the early news this morning, he said the rain would come through in the Charlotte area around 3 or 4 o'clock. That means in the Rutherford, Cleveland County area, 1 to 2 o'clock. That's what it did. It cleared out And, hey, we got beautiful weather for football.
Yes, we do. I think we have only 4 games that's being played tonight. This game, Burns and East Rutherford. Also, Drone and Kings Mountain's being played tonight. Bunker Hill and West Lincoln. And I think it's Highland Tech and Thomas Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe play it tonight. Maybe West Caldwell and Bandy's as well.
Well, what it is, Thomas Jefferson, maybe it is Highland Tech. I got my schedule right here.
Okay, all right. We'll double check anyway. But some of the games of local interest, and right now we want to welcome our listeners not only on KTCBroadcasting.com, where you can watch the game, but also on radio tonight on WHS 1390 AM and WCSL 1590 AM. The folks up in the Burns-Lawndale area can pick up WCSL pretty good up there at night. Now, locally, last night, Crest defeated Chase 44-0, and they decided to play a night early. And you say it's a smart thing to do. Yeah, it probably was at that time, even though tonight turned out pretty good, Dan.
It's turned out great tonight. I think most coaches would rather play either on Thursday night or Monday night.
Right.
Saturday night's not a good night for high school football, even though there are some games going on tomorrow night.
That's true. All right. Also, Shelby moved their game to Monday night, right?
Up at East Burke, they're playing at East Burke up at Eichert, and they'll play Monday night at 7 o'clock.
So if you turn the radio on, WHS, expecting to hear Shelby High School football with Brent Pascoe and Jeff Jones, well, you're not going to hear it tonight. You're going to hear it Monday night from East Burke High School, Dan.
They'll have it Monday night, 7 o'clock. 6:30 airtime up there on Monday evening. You also can watch it on KTCBroadcasting.com.
Another game in the area being played tonight, Bunker Hill and West Lincoln. That game on KTCBroadcasting.com along with our sister station, WLON in Lincoln. And now tomorrow, it's going to be kind of wild and crazy. Lincoln plays East Lincoln, and that's a slobber knocker of a game. And Dan, they're playing it Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock at East Lincoln. That kind of surprised me. Wonder why not at night.
Might be thinking they get a better crowd early on Saturday than they would on Saturday night. That's what the problem is, what it is. And it depends on also what's going on next week. Who are they playing next week?
Right.
A lot of teams will not play on a Monday night because they got another game that week.
That's true.
But some teams do and have had success doing it.
Hunter Huss will play South Point tomorrow night, Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Newton Conner will play Maiden Saturday night at 7 o'clock. And want to mention that Newton Conover Maiden game. That's a big game, even though it is in Catawba County. We're going to carry it tomorrow night. And we didn't have any Tar Heel games. We didn't have any Brave games. They're through. So we're going to carry high school football tomorrow night in a big game, Catawba County game that, this affects the conference with some of the other schools, Lincoln and East Lincoln and such. And we're looking forward to that coming up Saturday night. David Keever's got a triple header over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, that's the Southern District 7 Conference. It's a 2A conference and includes teams like Lincoln and East Lincoln, Newton Conover, Bandy's, and, of course, Maiden.
And that game will be aired on all 3 stations along with KTCBroadcasting.com. That'll be coming up Saturday evening. That's going to be a good game there, Maiden and Newton Conover. Let's see. What else we got? Monday night, Ashbrook will play North Gaston. And don't forget we mentioned Shelby and East Burke and Forest View and Stuart Kramer. I believe that is Monday night as well, if I'm not mistaken. So that kind of catches you up to date on where we are with these games today, with the rain coming through and expecting, some forecasts. My forecast this morning on the radio had 80% today and 80% tonight. Well, that's not going to be the case, Dan.
It's not. And, one reason we got it cleared out today is Gerald Weathers' birthday.
Yep, the weatherman.
I'm sure they were, big plans for a birthday party or something tonight for Gerald, and they wanted to get the weather out of here.
I can see the moon.
Yes.
So there you go. It shows how, there are some clouds up there, but I can see the moon from here. It's about, a little over half full. Or is that half empty?
Half empty. Did you know that Gerald was born the same day? You mentioned it this morning, as 2 big baseball stars.
Yes.
Dennis Eckersley.
That's right.
And Maury Wills.
Maury Wills, yep. You better believe it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Dan earlier this week talked to Burns coach Ron Cincinnati. We'll hear that interview coming up right after these messages here on KTCBroadcasting.com and Big O Country.
Here, lizard, lizard, lizard.
Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. On November 4th, make Eddie Holbrook one of your two choices for Cleveland County Commissioner. Eddie Holbrook is a moderate and works with both parties to promote success for our county. He is a strong On November 4th, make Eddie Holbrook one of your two choices for Cleveland County Commissioner. Eddie Holbrook is a moderate and works with both parties to promote success for our county. He is a strong advocate for Cleveland County, a dedicated and visionary leader. Visit EddieHolbrook.com to see Eddie's 5 points of re-election, including supportive education, compensation and support for our first responders, recruitment of new economic development projects, support of travel and tourism, and recruitment of large and small businesses. On November 4th, vote Eddie Holbrook for Cleveland County Commissioner. This announcement paid for by the candidate. ENT Carolina is not your parents' allergy treatment. Now, no shots, no pain, no fear. Ask about the sublingual immunotherapy. Drops are placed under your tongue, and just 2 minutes a day is all it takes. It's safe, effective, and you do it on your own schedule. And best of all, no weekly doctor visits. Call today for a consultation with one of their board-certified allergy specialists. Visit a location near you. ENT Carolina, 2520 Aberdeen Road in Gastonia, 1212 Spruce Street in Belmont, and 1180 White Road in Shelby. Listen up, Newton Conover Red Devil fans. Walker's Pharmacy in downtown Newton is now your Newton Conover Red Devil apparel headquarters. You'll find Red Devil caps, t-shirts, sweatshirts, rain ponchos, collared shirts, and more. And all proceeds from the sale of Newton Conover merchandise goes to the Newton Conover Red Devil Booster Club. Show your Red Devil colors with a stop at Walker's Pharmacy. Walker's Pharmacy, 33 College Avenue in historic downtown Newton. Get your Newton Conover Red Devil apparel today. Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price with names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General Insurance, and Travelers. Drop by their office at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. Ready to go, Dan.
They had it ready to go.
You better believe it.
We appreciate it very much.
And also we want to say special thanks to Coach Bobby Reynolds, athletic director here at East Rutherford High School, and a lot of folks on WCSL listening tonight in Cherryville. They, of course, know Bobby rather well, don't they?
People in Shelby know him very well, too, over the years. One of the most successful Legion and high school coaches around. And, talk to him a little bit here. This is his 23rd year here at East Rutherford.
Wow.
He's been up here quite a while.
I believe he's going to make a career out of
it. Just about, anyway. And I understand his son, Drew may be coming on board up here in January.
So there you go.
It'll be interesting.
All right, we're going to take a break. Dan, you want to introduce this interview? I know you were up at Burns this week and talked with Ron Cincinnati.
Yeah, we try to do this every week. Last couple of weeks wasn't able to because of some conflicts, but it wasn't his conflicts, it's my conflicts. But we made a point of getting up there this week and talking to Coach Cincinnati, and he talked about his Bulldogs and the big win last week over East Burke.
All right, I hope this is the right one. My cover says not, but from the download it says yes. So hopefully this is the right interview. Dan, you can, if it's not, we'll stop it and try another one, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's try it.
This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer.
Coach, outstanding effort by your team last week. I think basically I look back at that game. Of course, you'd seen films and all that and seen a little bit deeper into it, but offense and defense played well last week.
Kids played great, and you know, it was a great effort, and defensively, you know, caused them 10 turnovers.
Producer.
You know, our defense put us in a great position, and our offense produced. You know, I'd like us to have been a little more consistent on our offensive production, but you know, that's still coming, and our you know, but our kids definitely had a great week of practice that week.